I am the Thanksgiving lady. The one who obsessively collects all of the glossy Thanksgiving editions of foodie magazines every year. What stars have died that you didn't know about? When stars such as Regis Philbin or Glee's Naya Rivera passed away, their deaths were met with massive tributes and worldwide headlines. Sometimes, however, the passing of a celebrity can fly under the radar of fans, who may not even realize the stars they've enjoyed watching for years are no longer living. While the work these celebs have done in film and television lives on, those who admired the deceased are often saddened when they realize that these celebrities have died. It's doubly depressing when these beloved celebrities aren't afforded the kind of fanfare that they deserved, with news of their deaths quietly receding into the endlessly churning news cycle. Yet regardless of what led to the deaths of these folks, be it illness, addiction, or an unanticipated accident, the one thing that cannot be denied is that they will be missed. From beloved cast members of hit television series to lesser-known character actors with familiar faces, read on to learn about stars you might not know have died. Natasha Richardson died in a tragic skiing accident as an actress. Natasha Richardson was known for her roles in such films as The Parent Trap and Nell. Richardson was also famous for her family connections, as the daughter of Oscar winner Vanessa Redgrave and sister of actress Jolie Richardson. She also had a famous spouse, actor Liam Neeson, who has a tragic real-life story. Richardson was vacationing at Canada's Mont Tremblant ski resort in 2009 when she fell while taking a skiing lesson. The one who always hosts, and won't let guests bring anything but dessert and wine because I am fixated on controlling the menu. I also spent 5 of my younger years working every Thanksgiving at a slammed NYC restaurant along the Macy's parade route. As ABC News reported, she initially claimed to feel fine, even joking about her fall. Besides paying my rent for the entire month, those holiday shifts showed me what people wanted, and didn't really want, on their turkey day plates. And so I now present you with the definitive, completely and unabashedly subjective ranking of the 13 most popular Thanksgiving side dishes. Let's get started. 13. A member of the ski patrol, however, suggested she see a doctor. Cranberry sauce. I love the idea of cranberry sauce. Insisting she was fine, Richardson ultimately returned to her hotel room. Shortly thereafter, she was rushed to a nearby hospital via ambulance. Sadly, after being airlifted to a hospital in New York City, she passed away at age 45. A tart and slightly sweet little something that gives a little bit of oomph and complexity to all those other flavors you've managed to fit onto one forkful of food. The problem? Cranberry sauce never delivers. I've made a bunch of homemade ones myself, bought the pre-made ones from the fancy gourmet market, and even bought the tin-canned variety for those die-hards who say nothing else will do. The cause of death was determined to be an epidural hematoma due to a blunt impact to the head. Neeson later paid tribute to his late wife in a since-deleted Facebook post, reported VIP. But regardless of which kind I serve, spend time with your spouses. Meh. Apparently my family agrees with me, because whenever I serve it, it remains untouched on my table, as it usually did on all those patrons' plates in NYC. Treat them well, he wrote. This year, I'm not gonna bother. 12. Sweet potato casserole. Now here's a side dish I just don't get. You take this perfectly delicious root veggie like sweet potato, and then, instead of doing something tasty to it like mashing it with butter or doing something interesting with bourbon and nuts, you add extra sugar to it, and top it with candied fruit and marshmallow. Because, one day, when you look up from your phone, they won't be there anymore. Harry Potter actor Richard Griffiths died during heart surgery. British character actor Richard Griffiths was known for roles on both the big and small screens, such as the lecherous Uncle Monty in the British cult comedy With Nail and I, and the pie-baking police inspector Henry Crabbe in the UK series Pie in the Sky. Griffiths' most impactful role, however, was certainly Vernon Dursley, the ill-tempered uncle of the titular wizard in the Harry Potter film franchise. In 2013, Griffiths passed away at 65. His agent, Simon Beresford, told the Associated Press that his death was due to complications following heart surgery. His Harry Potter co-star Daniel Radcliffe, who also appeared alongside Griffiths in a 2008 Broadway production of Equus, paid tribute. Richard was by my side during 2 of the most important moments of my career, said Radcliffe in a statement obtained by CBS News.
Before official production had even begun on Potter, we filmed a shot outside the Dursleys, which was my first ever shot as Harry. I was nervous and he made me feel at ease. When they reunited for Equus 7 years later, it marked Radcliffe's first time acting on stage, and Griffith's presence once again calmed him. That 70s show's Lisa Robin Kelly died after a sad descent into addiction. Viewers of that 70s show will certainly recall actress Lisa Robin Kelly, who played Laurie Foreman, the sarcastic older sister of Topher Grace's character, Eric Foreman. However, those same viewers were no doubt confused when Kelly's character was written out of the show in 2001. Although the actress returned for a few episodes subsequently, the role was then recast with a different actress, Christina Moore, for the series' remaining seasons. Kelly returned to the spotlight in 2010, albeit not the way she would have preferred, due to a DUI arrest. It's as if a group of kindergartners were tasked with inventing a holiday side dish, and forgot to add the Skittles. In a 2012 interview with ABC News, she explained that she parted ways with that 70s show after developing a drinking problem, which she said stemmed from becoming despondent in the wake of suffering a miscarriage. The following year, Kelly entered a drug rehabilitation center. Just, number 11. Creamed onions. I think my issue with creamed onions is that I've never had ones that were prepared well. They certainly seem like they have the potential to be delicious, what with the heavy cream and nutmeg and crunchy topping included in the better recipes I've found. Unfortunately, I've only ever been served the boxed, frozen variety that seem more like they should be used to sauce a serving of bland meat, not be presented as a side dish on their own. Thanks, but I'll pass. 10. Corn pudding. Much like with a sweet potato casserole, it really irks me when you take a naturally sweet thing, like corn, and then make it even sweeter, yet don't call it a dessert. It was there, reported the New York Times, that she died in her sleep. So when a corn pudding veers off into a decidedly desserty direction, you lose me. When a corn pudding, however, goes more savory, with additions like sour cream, cheese, bacon grease and the like, I will change my tune entirely. The risk of a corn pudding being a sweet dish is always there, unfortunately, and therefore, cannot merit a higher score on this list. Sorry, corn pudding. You could have been a contender. 9. Candied yams. Some folks use the terms sweet potato casserole and candied yams interchangeably. She was just 43. According to TMZ, Kelly's death was determined to be accidental, the result of an overdose brought on by multiple drug intoxication. Actor-director Harold Ramis died after fighting a rare disease. Harold Ramis is familiar to fans for his on-screen roles alongside Bill Murray, first in the military comedy Stripes, and then as the bookish Egon Spengler in Ghostbusters. However, his biggest successes took place behind the camera. Having lived down south for a few years, I can tell you, they're definitely two different things. Candied yams, when prepared traditionally, are just chunks of sweet potato cooked with butter, sugar, spices, and maybe some fruit juice. After co-writing the script of mega-successful college comedy Animal House, Ramis branched out as a director, helming a series of comedy blockbusters including National Lampoon's Vacation, Groundhog Day, and Analyze This. When Ramis passed away in 2014, his obituary in the Chicago Tribune revealed he'd been suffering for years from autoimmune inflammatory vasculitis, a rare condition that causes inflammation of blood vessels. Complications from the disease were severe, ultimately resulting in his death at age 69. In her memoir, Ghostbusters' Daughter, Life with My Dad, Harold Ramis, Lily Ramis Steele recounted how her father's failing health led to the end of a decades-long feud that developed between her father and Murray. In classic Bill fashion, he showed up at the house, unannounced, at 7 a.m., with a police escort and a dozen donuts, she wrote. They're too sweet for my taste, but I've had some that were made with love and top-notch ingredients that I did have to admit were pretty tasty. If I had to serve either candied yams or sweet potato casserole at Thanksgiving dinner, it would be candied yams without hesitation. 8. While Ramis wasn't able to talk much by that point, the pair spent a couple hours together, laughed a little, and made their peace. Fresh Prince star James Avery died after open-heart surgery. Fans of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which just got unexpected news, loved to watch Will Smith hilariously face off with his character's wealthy uncle, Philip Uncle Phil Banks, played to imperious perfection by James Avery. Cornbread stuffing. Now we're talking.
Finally, we've gotten to the part of the list where I need to start deciding how much room to dedicate to everything I'm about to pile onto my plate. While the 90s-era sitcom remains Avery's most iconic role, he amassed a lengthy roster of screen credits that spanned 4 decades. That included both TV guest spots in shows ranging from L.A. My issue with cornbread stuffing, however, is that it can, you guessed it, be too sweet. Law to Grey's Anatomy, and an impressive body of work as a voice actor in animated projects. In 2014, CNN reported that Avery had died on December 31, 2013, due to complications from open-heart surgery. Avery's Fresh Prince co-star Joseph Marseille, aka If You Make It With a Not Too Sweet Homemade Cornbread, Sausage and Sage, I'll Be Your Best Friend. Banks' family butler Jeffrey described Avery to CNN as a marvelous man and a truly wonderful actor. If it's been made with that super sweet blue box of corn muffin mix, you're going to lose me. 7. He strove to present an Uncle Phil that everybody wishes was their uncle. Smith likewise paid tribute. Green bean casserole. If you grew up in the 80s in the northeast of this fine nation, you were almost guaranteed to have a green bean casserole on your Thanksgiving table. The recipe was invented by Campbell's, introducing us to the perfect vehicle for their canned cream of mushroom soup. My mom always made the version of the recipe that was found on the side of the can of jerky French fried onions that were necessary for the fabulously crunchy topping. This casserole consisted of a short list of ingredients: frozen green beans, the canned soup, milk, and those gloriously crispy onions. This was the side dish that even the people who hate vegetables could get down with. I may have just convinced myself to make one this year. 6. Mac and cheese. Mac and cheese is such a conundrum. Some of my greatest lessons in acting, living and being a respectable human being came through James Avery, he wrote on Facebook. In a lecture for the New York Film Academy, Avery explained how he approached his vocation. At its best, one could argue it would jump up to one of the top spots on this list. You could either be a movie star or an actor. At its worst, however, it's bland and mushy and makes you mourn for the calories you could have consumed elsewhere. For a baked mac and cheese to really score, the cheese needs to be sharp, tangy, and flavorful. I'm an actor, Avery said. But I've done pretty good. Actress Marcia Wallace died after fighting pneumonia back in the 1970s. Marcia Wallace got big laughs as the wisecracking, crimson-haired receptionist Carol Kester on beloved TV sitcom The Bob Newhart Show. The pasta should still have some bite, and the sauce should have the kind of zing you only get from the smart additions of ingredients like mustard or hot sauce. Among her many subsequent screen credits, Wallace also gained fame for lending her distinctive voice to Edna Krabappel, Bart Simpson's cynical schoolteacher on The Simpsons. In 2013, the Los Angeles Times reported that Wallace passed away at age 70. Her son, Michael Hawley, told The Times that her health had been poor during the months leading to her death, which came about due to complications related to pneumonia. Wallace had previously undergone surgery for breast cancer, but Hawley said she'd been declared cancer-free. The death certificate, however, was obtained by TMZ, and reportedly indicated the primary cause of death as pneumonia, sepsis, inflammation due to infection, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease (COPD). With cancer listed as a significant condition. In a statement to The Hollywood Reporter, Simpsons executive producer Al Jean said she was beloved by all at The Simpsons and we intend to retire her irreplaceable character. True to Jean's word, Edna Krabappel was written out of the show, with the show offering the character a touching tribute. The Green Mile's Michael Clarke Duncan died after suffering a heart attack. Michael Clarke Duncan was an imposing figure on-screen, with his muscled physique on display for the breakout role that remained his best known, inmate John Coffey, whose supernatural abilities are at the center of Stephen King's The Green Mile. Last but not least, we can't forget the buttery breadcrumb topping. Bonus points if it's garlicky. 5. Roasted root veggies. Okay. Other film roles included Planet of the Apes, The Scorpion King, and Daredevil, while his TV work included being cast as a series regular in short-lived Fox series The Finder. Duncan was just 54 years old when he died in September of 2012. According to the actor's obituary in The New York Times, he died from complications stemming from a heart attack he had suffered less than 2 months earlier.
At the time of his death, Duncan was engaged to Omarosa Manigault Newman, who opened up about the night of his heart attack in an interview with OWN's Where Are They Now? She recalled hearing him laboring, trying to breathe, and then I didn't hear anything and I just jumped up. When she realized Duncan had ceased breathing, she performed CPR and was able to get his heart beating, and rush him to a hospital. He fought, she said. After 2 months of fighting, he passed away. Poltergeist star Heather O'Rourke's death sparked rumors that the movie was cursed. One of the biggest, scariest horror hits of the 80s was Poltergeist, in which a platinum-haired youngster played by child actor Heather O'Rourke communicated with a supernatural entity via the static on a television screen. O'Rourke reprised the role in 2 sequels before passing away unexpectedly in 1988 during surgery to repair a previously undetected bowel defect. She was just 12. According to a report from the Associated Press, the official cause of O'Rourke's death was septic shock due to congenital stenosis of the lower intestine. Additionally, the circumstances of her death were extremely unusual, with a gastroenterologist declaring he found it very strange that she never experienced any prior symptoms. "It's weird," O'Rourke's manager, Mike Meyer, shared. "She was completely healthy Saturday, they thought she had the flu on Sunday, and she was dead on Monday." Years later, a bizarre rumor proliferated, claiming that Poltergeist was cursed. In addition to O'Rourke's death, reported the New Zealand Herald, actress Dominique Young, who played the older sister of O'Rourke's character, was strangled to death by her boyfriend shortly after the film's release. I totally get if some of you are ready to throw your phones at me right now at the mere suggestion that something like roasted vegetables could score this high on this list. Additionally, actors Julian Beck and Will Sampson both passed away after appearing in Poltergeist 2, fueling additional speculation. Actor Taylor Negron died after fighting cancer. While Taylor Negron's name may not be instantly recognizable, his face will no doubt be familiar. Higher than mac and cheese. I hear you cry. Negron boasted an extensive array of credits on both the small and large screens, including TV series ranging from Curb Your Enthusiasm to Party of Five, and films such as Fast Times at Ridgemont High, in a small but memorable role as a pizza delivery guy who delivers a pie to Sean Penn's Jeff Spicoli during class. In 2015, Deadline reported that Negron passed away at age 57 after a lengthy battle with cancer. The year before his death, Negron gave an interview to KCET, discussing his film and television work. But hear me out. Thanksgiving is the day when all of these wonderful, but often overlooked root veggies, like parsnips, celeriac, purple carrots, and acorn squash finally get their chance to shine. And what about Brussels sprouts? Roasted until they're caramelized, with bacon, and maybe a touch of maple syrup or balsamic vinegar, they're a veggie that could win over the biggest meat and potatoes guest at the table. Say what you will. I stand by my decision. 4. I became the alternative everyman in movies, he said, reflecting on being that guy in so many projects. One of his flashier roles was playing the villain opposite Bruce Willis in the 1991 action comedy The Last Boy Scout. It wasn't a stretch, but it came as a surprise to me, he said of being cast in such a plum part. Biscuits, breads, and rolls. You know that you're celebrating the carbo-holic's dream holiday when you get to the biscuit, bread, and rolls category, and you're still only at number 4 on your countdown. When it comes to the bread category of foods, I don't discriminate. Please, by all means, give me a rustic seeded rye, buttery buttermilk biscuits, a homemade honey wheat bread, or even crescent rolls that just came out of a can. In fact, when he was first offered the role, I thought it was a joke and they had made a mistake in the printing, that I was going to play the first Goomba to the left. John Spencer's West Wing character's heart attack eerily predicted his own death. Acting professionally since the 60s, John Spencer had amassed a lengthy list of credits in film and television when he was cast as White House Chief of Staff Leo McGarry in The West Wing. Spencer's performance won him critical acclaim, along with 5 Emmy nominations and 1 win. Sadly, the most celebrated role of Spencer's career would also be his last. In the show's 6th season, a plot twist featured Leo suffering a near-fatal heart attack. In a bizarre case of life imitating art, the following year Spencer himself suffered a heart attack at age 58. Unlike Leo, Spencer didn't survive. According to the actor's obituary in the New York Times, Spencer was taken to a Los Angeles hospital, where he was declared dead.
In a 2014 retrospective about the show for USA Today, actor Dooley Hill, who played presidential aide Charlie Young, admitted that the loss of Spencer took a toll on the show. "West Wing without John Spencer isn't the West Wing, to me anyway," he said. Frasier dad John Mahoney died of complications from throat cancer, one of the biggest television hits of the 90s. Frasier ran for 11 successful seasons before saying goodbye in 2004. "If it were up to me, a nice loaf of pumpernickel would find its way to the table, too." Throughout it all, John Mahoney played Martin Crane, the cranky father of sibling psychiatrists Frasier Kelsey Grammer and Niles David Hyde Pierce. Added bonus if the butter is nice and soft for superior spreadability. 3. On the silver screen, Mahoney delivered standout performances in such films as Say Anything, Here's What Only Adults Notice About the Film, and Barton Fink, in addition to a particularly memorable performance in Moonstruck, as a would-be suitor who tries to charm the mother Olympia Dukakis of Cher's character. Mahoney passed away at age 77 in 2018, with The Guardian reporting that his death was due to complications related to throat cancer. In an October 2017 interview with Fox News, less than 4 months before his death the following February, Mahoney was optimistic that he'd beaten cancer a second time. He had first been diagnosed 20 years earlier, just as his Hollywood career was heating up. "I had made some of my biggest movies when I was diagnosed," he said of his previous cancer battle. "Creamed spinach. The only thing that makes me sad at a good steakhouse is when I order a side of creamed spinach, and realize that I'm expected to share it with the rest of the table. I wasn't going to let this cancer get me. I may have to share it with my guests this Thanksgiving, but if I multiply the amount of guests I have times 10, I should have enough to get me through the week." There are absolutely right and wrong ways to make creamed spinach. First of all, for the love of all that is good and decent in this world, do not make your creamed spinach with baby spinach. Baby spinach is meant for quick stir-fries and salads, that's it. Use the good old, dark green stuff, that looks like it's got some hard living under its belt. Clean it and chop it as small as possible, and add it to a cream sauce you've made with a roux of butter and flour, and heavy cream. Do not add cream cheese. Sautéed onion and garlic are optional, but encouraged. Required are salt, pepper, and nutmeg. Yes, nutmeg. Do it, too. I waited too long to do this. Dancer-actor Gregory Hines dies after battling cancer at age 57. Gregory Hines was a multi-talented actor, singer, choreographer and tap dancer who starred in such films as The Cotton Club, Running Scared, and A Rage in Harlem. Mashed potatoes. I confess, I really agonized about the ranking of the top 2 Thanksgiving sides to include on this list. He also headlined his own eponymous TV sitcom, The Gregory Hines Show, and played a recurring role in NBC sitcom Will and Grace as Will Truman's, Eric McCormick, ruthless boss, Ben Doucette. When Hines passed away in 2003 at age 57, his obituary in the New York Times revealed the cause of death to be cancer. A report in the National Enquirer divulged that Hines had been diagnosed with liver cancer 2 years earlier, but had kept his diagnosis a secret from those he worked with. According to a source, no one except his family knew how sick he was. The Insider also revealed that the Will and Grace cast was devastated by news of Hines' death. "When news like this hits you so suddenly, you're in a state of shock," Sean Hayes told the Enquirer. "I couldn't believe it. I immediately thought of his family and what they must be going through." An enlarged heart led to the death of Footloose star Chris Penn, brother of Oscar winner Sean Penn and musician Michael Penn. Chris Penn was known for memorable roles in Rumble Fish, Footloose, Reservoir Dogs, Mulholland Falls, and many more movies. He was just 40 years old when he died, reported the Star-Ledger. His lifeless body was discovered in early 2006 in a California condo. An LAPD lieutenant indicated that there didn't appear to be any obvious signs of foul play. The truth emerged the following month when TV's Access Hollywood revealed details from the coroner's investigation, reported People. While the official cause of death was an enlarged heart, Penn's weight had swelled to more than 300 pounds. A toxicology report detailed the various substances present in his body at the time of his death: Valium, morphine, marijuana, an antihistamine, and codeine. Actress Laurie Singer, who worked with Penn on Footloose, told the New York Post she was devastated by the loss. "Who am I, a lowly food writer, to declare that universally loved mashed potatoes don't deserve the top spot on this list? I make mashed potatoes every Thanksgiving, of course, and I'm going to give you a few rules to help you out. First, it is very hard to use too much butter, or cream, but it's very easy to not use enough of either." He had the understated brilliance of a true artist. He was real in person and in his acting. He was the real thing, she said. National Lampoon's Vacation star Dana Hill died from a medical condition she didn't know she had. Dana Hill was one of the most ubiquitous child actors of the early 80s, appearing in TV guest spots on series ranging from Mork and Mindy to Magnum P.I. Perhaps her best-known role, however, was Audrey Griswold in the 1985 sequel National Lampoon's European Vacation. After that, she segued into a career as a voice actor in animated series such as Rugrats and Sonic the Hedgehog. As People reported, Hill, whose real name was Dana Hill Getz, was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when she was 10, a condition that stunted her growth, and allowed her to play characters far younger than she actually was. And salt. Don't be afraid of the salt. Sadly, the diabetes also left her kidneys damaged, causing her to be frequently hospitalized over the years. If you think your potatoes are bland, add more salt. Second, you can absolutely make them ahead of time. Those health issues came to a head in May 1995 when she went into a diabetic coma, and then suffered a stroke. 40 days later, she died at age 32. Keep them warm on the stove over a double boiler, or in a slow cooker. Reserve extra of your cream and butter mixture, and stir some more in every half hour. 1. Speaking with people, her mother said that Hill just gave up. She had succeeded at everything she ever tried to do. Bread stuffing, and here we have it, folks. The undisputable, according to moi, #1 side dish to ever grace a Thanksgiving table. There was only one area of her life where she was a loser, and that was her infirmity. And I'm even going to tell you the correct way to make it. Keep in mind, folks, you don't need a mix. Those bags of crouton-like bread nuggets are okay in a pinch, but this isn't a pinch. This is Thanksgiving, man. Get it right. All you need is a good, hearty loaf of sourdough bread, the kind you get from a fancy bakery counter. I know it costs like $6 a loaf. Don't be cheap, just buy it. You also need butter, eggs, chicken or veggie broth, celery, onions, and salt and pepper. That's it. Let's do this. The only stuffing recipe you'll ever need. Start by removing the crusts. They'll be too chewy if you mix them into the stuffing. Shred the remaining bread innards into bite-sized bits. Arrange them on a cookie sheet, and toast lightly in your oven until they are just starting to tan, but don't let them get too browned. Transfer them to a large bowl. Meanwhile, melt a stick of butter in a large pan. Yes, an entire stick. Add a cup of diced yellow onion, a little less of diced celery, and cook until just soft. Season the mixture with a tablespoon of poultry seasoning, and make sure to add salt if your poultry seasoning doesn't have it. Add 2 cups of broth to the pan, until just warmed. Pour the mixture over the bread pieces, and stir. Add 1 whisked egg that you've thinned out with a bit more broth, and stir it in well. Transfer everything to a well-greased casserole dish. Cover the top of the stuffing with more butter that you've cut into small pieces. At this point you can cover it and keep it in the fridge for a day or two before you cook it. Bring it to room temperature before you cook it, though. Place the stuffing in a 375-degree Fahrenheit oven for 40 to 60 minutes. I started out loosely covered in foil, then remove the foil after about 30 minutes. Cook until the top is nicely browned, and the center is hot all the way through. You're welcome.